This is the view from the train platform at the Harbor Freeway metro station in the middle of the interchange between the 105 and 110 freeways. The massive ramps and their octagonal supports frame the downtown LA skyline in the distance. Traffic travels directly adjacent to the platform in the carpool lanes on the 105. Ramps between the freeways are above and below the platform as well. All this road traffic generates noise. A lot of noise. So much noise that it makes the station one of the harshest urban environments imaginable. From above, it's easy to see just how tightly the freeway ramps surround the platform. 5 levels of ramps nearly hide the station, which comes into view only when zooming in. Below all these ramps is a somewhat grand entrance to what is actually a 3-level transit hub. What I will call the ground level features a large parking lot and a traditional bus stop at the curb. Through the main entrance, there is a platform that extends over the 110 freeway. The area doesn't quite feel indoors, but is partially enclosed by the freeway above. It's a bit dark, though natural light shines through the openings. Moving downstairs, there's a platform for the busway running in the median of the 110. The brightly painted bollards are a stark reminder of the danger of runaway traffic. With less places to sit, the busway level feels a bit more bare. To accommodate the structures above, this level sits in a shallow trench for the freeway, further disconnecting patrons from the outside world. Back on the top level, the noise of traffic gets much louder. A study from UCLA showed that traffic noise can swell above 90 decibels at this station, exceeding the OSHA limit for noise exposure longer than a few minutes. There are shields installed to help block some of the noise, but they do little to help. So why is it like this? Why do trains and buses end up here, in the harshest possible environment, rather than a neighborhood where people can live, work, and play? To understand why the station exists, you must understand why the Metro Green Line exists. The answer lies in the events that led up to the construction of the 105 freeway. In 1972, more than 20 years before the freeway opened, community opposition led to a lawsuit alleging multiple violations of civil rights and National Environmental Policy Act. While this effort to stop the freeway ultimately failed, a 1979 consent decree imposed several conditions on the freeway's development, with one of them being a requirement for a transit line. This eventually became the Green Line. This transit requirement set a precedent for the 110 freeway, which saw bus lanes open a few years after it was expanded and tied into the 105. A key figure in the development of the 105 was Harry Pregerson, the federal judge that presided over the court case challenging the freeway's construction. In his ruling, he required housing for those displaced by the highway construction, public transit, and even provisions for public services. He had this grand vision where every station on the Green Line would have a parking lot for people to drive in from the surrounding areas and ride the train to commute to their jobs. He also called for public services to be located at the stations, like childcare centers for commuting workers. Even though his vision was not fully realized, the Green Line was still optimized to funnel people with cars to job centers near the LAX airport instead of operating as functional transit for people without cars. All stations have ample parking, but very little housing or commercial space within walking distance. This is almost inevitable with highway median transit, since the setting itself lends itself so well to easy car access and inhibits walkability. So, back to the interchange, which is actually named the Judge Harry Pregerson Interchange. Having both the rail and busway platforms in the median of highways makes for terrible accessibility. And as mentioned before, the confluence of so many traffic lanes contributes to extreme noise. During off-peak service hours, the wait for trains or buses can be upwards of 20 minutes. That means, for 20 minutes, riders have to endure the relentless noise. It's so loud that conversations are difficult, even for people standing right beside one another. Everyone at the station seems to sit in silence, avoiding all interaction with others. There are no buskers playing music or newsstands selling things on the platform. There are just a few unconventional benches and some informational signage. And a lot of the infrastructure that is there seems to be in decay. The station is an extreme version of a non-place, which is a term coined by French anthropologist Marc Auger to describe spaces of transient that lack identity with the surrounding environment and where people only pass by one another instead of having social interactions. The station isn't anyone's destination. It's a place where most people transfer between transit lines or other modes of transit. It's a crossroads, just like the freeway above. And artist Steve Appleton attempts to contextualize this intersection with his art installation, Locus City Imprints. According to Metro Resources, the components of the installation are as follows: a torqued copper canopy over the Metro rail platform, sandblasted concrete tiles that look like ruins from a lost civilization, ceramic tile and sculpture collages that wrap around support fillers, various imprints and maps in the floor, and several sculptural benches, like these molded benches that look like they can interlock. There are also these benches, with volutes on each side, which add a bit of postmodern flair, but look impractical and uncomfortable. These fixtures provide some visible interest, but feel separated from the construction of the station. The concrete freeway and station make the whole area feel harsh and uninviting, like some sort of poorly executed brutalist structure. Some of the octagonal freeway columns are embellished, but for the most part it's bare. The art feels randomly dispersed throughout the station instead of telling a cohesive story, and only makes sense after reading the plaque. During its construction in the 90s, Steve Appleton said the following on the station.
One of the first things I did was to say, I think this station should be a landmark, and to try to define what a landmark is, something that people refer to in their daily life.
However, the canopy doesn't really feel like much of a landmark from the platform. It can only really be seen in its entirety by passing motorists on the freeways. This is yet one more, albeit subtle, way that the station's design serves motorists over transit riders. In closing, the goal of effective transit is to move people to places they want to go quickly, safely, and efficiently. Building transit infrastructure in the middle of two freeways to mitigate the environmental impact of those freeways is not the best way to help transit achieve those goals. After billions of dollars were spent on this flawed premise, we are left with a strange and harsh space that places people in close proximity to freeway traffic with little shielding from the noise. In car-based American society, highways can feel like an inevitable part of life. But here, the towering freeway structures force people to reckon with just how massive and disruptive highways can be.